A few days after Shim Chong had thrown herself into the Indang Sea, her father, Shim Bongsa, was walking along the village path, unaware of what had happened. Near the village well, he overheard neighbors speaking in hushed, emotional voices.
What a tragedy. I heard Shim Chong really threw herself into the Indang Sea. They say she brought 300 bags of rice to the temple.
Oh, that devoted girl. She must have sacrificed herself to help her father regain his sight. Shim Bongsa froze in place. His walking stick trembled in his hand. He stood there, stunned. One of the women added,
Apparently, the monk said she came with the offering, smiled silently, and then left without saying a word.
Shim Bongsa gasped, struggling for breath. He turned toward the voices. What? What did you say? What happened to my Shim Chong? Startled, the women turned to see the blind man trembling before them. One hesitated, then spoke with a trembling voice. She offered herself to the Indang Sea as a sacrifice. To help you see again, she gave 300 bags of rice to the temple. Before she could finish, Shim Bongsa collapsed to the ground, unable to stand. No, Chonga, Shim Chonga, why would you? Why? Still trying to convince himself it couldn't be true, he cried out, No. She told me she was going to work for a noble family. That's all. But as the truth sank in, his voice broke. What use is it for me to see if you're gone? Chonga, I am not worthy. You should have lived. You should have lived happily. The villagers could only watch silently as Shim Bongsa wept. His cries echoed through the village, a sound of deep grief and regret. Meanwhile, far beneath the sea, Shim Chong had sunk deeper and deeper into the dark waters. Just before she lost consciousness, her last thought was of her father. As her eyes slowly closed, a mysterious light began to rise from the deep. They were the Sea Dragon King's messengers. Gently, they placed a mystical pearl into Shim Chong's mouth and carefully carried her to the palace of the Sea King of the West Sea. After some time, she awoke in a dazzling palace filled with radiant pearls and precious gems. The walls shimmered like jade, and golden fish swam through coral gardens. Shim Chong looked around.
Where am I? Is this paradise?
Turning her head, she saw a wise and gentle face watching her. The Sea King spoke. Your devotion and courage are beyond measure. He paused, then, The sea has storms, and the sea has calm. All are part of nature's law. Yet humans in their foolishness still offer lives to please the gods. Fear not, he continued. The pearl inside you allows you to breathe freely in this world. Rest now. You are safe here. The Sea King treated her as if she were his own daughter. He offered her the finest delicacies of the ocean and showed her its greatest wonders. Yet, Shim Chong's heart remained heavy. Every day, she thought of her father. Is he safe? Has he regained his sight? Does he think I'm gone forever? The Sea King, seeing her pain, finally said, Your devotion is unlike anything this world can offer in return. I will send you back. Though it pained him, he gently placed Shim Chong into a glowing lotus blossom and commanded his warriors to carry it to the surface. The lotus drifted across the sea and reached the far western shore. One day, as fishermen prepared their boats, they saw a strange light floating on the water. Approaching cautiously, They discovered the glowing lotus and, overwhelmed by its radiance, decided to present it to the emperor of the Western land. "Your Majesty," they said, "we found something extraordinary in the sea. We humbly present it to you." The emperor, drawn to the mysterious flower, marveled at its size and glow. "This must be the legendary lotus of the sea. It is truly divine," he said, reaching to touch its petals. As he did, the flower slowly opened. Inside was a radiant young woman, Shim Chong, now fully grown, glowing with a mysterious beauty. Stunned, the emperor asked, "Who are you?" Shim Chong bowed gracefully and told him her story. The emperor listened in awe. "You are kind, beautiful, and devoted beyond compare. I have searched the world for a queen. Would you become mine?" Shim Chong longed only to find her father, but she had no idea where she was or how to return. With no other choice, she accepted the emperor's proposal. And so, Shim Chong became Empress of the Western Kingdom. For several years, she lived in the palace where she was loved and cared for. Yet, even with the emperor's affection and comforts, body grew weaker. Her thoughts remained with her father. One day the emperor asked, concerned, "I've given you everything I can, but still sorrow clouds your eyes. What is it that your heart longs for?" Shimcheong knelt and answered, "Your Majesty, your kindness is as vast as the heavens. I lack nothing, except one thing. I do not know if my father still lives. I don't even know if he ever regained his sight. That sorrow has never left me." The emperor smiled warmly. "Then let us try to find him. I will host a grand feast, not only for the blind, but also for anyone who was ever blind. Perhaps your father will come." Shimcheong's eyes filled with tears. "Your Majesty, your mercy is boundless. If I could see my father again, I could die without regret." "Nonsense," said the emperor with a hearty laugh. "You and I will live a long life together." And so, royal messengers were sent across the land. Every blind man, and every man who had once been blind, was invited to a royal feast. They were given gifts, food, and honor. But months passed. A year went by, and still, Shimcheong did not see her father. Each time the feast was held, she watched every guest from afar, her eyes searching desperately. "Has he passed away?" she wondered. "Did I fail him by not being there?" The emperor, seeing her grow thinner and weaker, said, "We have searched all of this land. I will send word to neighboring kingdoms. Perhaps your father is not from here, but from one of them." News of the feast reached Koryo, Shimcheong's homeland. Word spread that a foreign queen was searching for her blind father, that this feast was meant for him. Blind men from every village began to travel west, hoping to attend. Even before the emperor's soldiers arrived, the roads were full. The rumor eventually reached Shimbongsa as well, but not once did he suspect that this queen could be Shimcheong. Not for a moment did he believe the feast was for him. He had no will to live, no hope left in him. Shimcheong's sacrifice had destroyed him. He lived on in silence, out of habit, not purpose. But one night, Shimbongsa had a dream. A voice, soft and urgent, called to him again and again. "Father, father." He woke with his heart pounding. Sitting on his porch, trembling, he could not shake the sound of her voice. The next morning, soldiers arrived from the palace. Master Shim, they said, you are the last blind man in Goryeo who has not yet attended. This is a royal invitation. Please, we ask you to come. Still dazed, he said nothing. But something within him stirred. As if drawn by something he could not explain, he quietly stood and followed. He boarded a ship and set out for the Western Kingdom, across the now calm sea. Back at the palace, Shimcheong had grown so weak she could barely stand. But still, she made her way to the garden each day the feast was held, hoping. The emperor, deeply moved by her devotion, grew desperate. Still no news from Goryeo? No reply from the envoys? Shimcheong, who had grown up in a small fishing village, had never known the name of her country or where it lay. She had only described her village, and from her words, the emperor guessed it must be somewhere in Goryeo. So, they waited. That day, though barely able to walk, Shimcheong stood once more to observe the arriving guests. And then, in the distance, an old man appeared, dressed in worn clothes, led gently by soldiers. Shimcheong's breath caught in her throat. She ran toward him. "Father! Father!" The old man's heart raced. The voice from his dream, it was real. Shimcheong, once a child, now a grown woman, saw before her a man aged beyond recognition. His dark hair turned white, his figure hunched and tired. "Father?" she whispered again. The man froze. "Who are you? Is this still a dream? Why do you call me father?" "It's me. It's Chong. Your daughter. Shimcheong." The man stumbled back. "Shimcheong. But she drowned. Years ago." "It's me, father, the very same. I survived. I came back." Tears streamed down her face. Shimbongsa reached toward her. Without thinking, he struggled to see the face in front of him, and then, a flash, a warmth, a miracle. He strained to see the glimpse of an empress. He saw the face of his daughter. Overjoyed, "My Chonga! My daughter, it's really you! Yes, father, it's really me!" They embraced and wept, holding each other for a long, long time. The emperor, hearing the commotion, arrived breathless, and when he saw the reunion, he too smiled. And from that day forward, Shimbongsa, Shimcheong, and the emperor lived on together in joy and peace.